something, 602, 603 here in the region. You're listening to WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM in beautiful Hammond, Indiana. 30-some% chance of the Bears coming into Hammond. Oh, there we go. A live stream. I see a live stream. And I also see my co-host for the day, Zach Beaver. He's coming in. Yeah, come on in, buddy. Yeah, this is you, man. Sit right here. We'll plug those headphones in there. These right there. Some good earbuds for you. My buddy Zach Beaver's here. We're gonna get him all plugged in, ready to go. But it is 6:04 in the region. You're listening to WJOB. We're gonna start the day with traffic and weather. Traffic. It is I don't know. It's foggy as all hell out there. Right now, Jim is in hot yoga, thinking, "Why do I have these people talk?" Oh, look at that. Everything is fine because it is 6 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. It's super foggy. 94, 55 going into the city is getting a little thick. Aside from that, the merger looks fine. Lynette, what's the weather like?
Good morning, everyone.
Why are you laughing at me?
Today we're at 71 degrees with highs of 84 and lows of 68. Fog will lift this morning and humid, otherwise partial sunshine with a thunderstorm. Then tomorrow and Saturday we'll be having highs of 82 and lows of 63. Should be partly to mostly sunny and humid. And then Sunday we'll be having highs of 81 and lows of 70 with times of clouds and sun with a heavy thunderstorm and humid.
I don't know what was funny about that. There's nothing funny about humidity. So, Brent is off at the Wisconsin State Fair, I don't know, doing something with potatoes and meat for a couple 100,000 people. So he's gone for the next few weeks. And so each week I've got a different co-host that's going to come in and sit here for 2.5 hours. We are going to, I don't know what we're going to talk about today. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. A couple weeks from now, I've got J.D. Prescott coming in, and he's going to co-host with me. He is on a crusade to end property taxes. Now, like I mentioned last week, when I say we're trying to end property taxes, that doesn't mean you're going to stop paying because, police, parks, and paving, that all costs money. We're just going to try to find a different way to collect that money and make sure that at some point you actually do rightfully own your property. Zach Beaver, how's it going?
Good, Bob.
So these microphones are very sensitive. Treat it like a I was going to say something inappropriate. Yeah, just get right up on it.
Like a good piece of equipment.
Yes, treat it like a good piece of equipment. Zach Beaver, you are on the Winfield Town Council.
Yep.
I think you left about 2:30 this morning to get here with the fog. The airways from WGOB make it out there, I think, yeah. Probably. I'm usually good until I get past the Kankakee River, and then we kind of fizzle out here. Yeah. I had a moment of dread this morning. So Zach is one of these guys that, as I'm doom scrolling, and on Instagram now, you can see who likes various posts and whatnot. And my algorithm is just, it's awful. When something happens, my good dear friends find this thing and just chuck it into the little Cal. So here's my things. So I scroll, and every time I find something that's like, oh, this is, quasi-degenerate, maybe, I should send this to Zach. And I scroll just a little more, and you've already liked it. And I was like, well, okay. So my fear this morning was, I thought, there may be a moment at like the 7 o'clock hour where you just get comfortable with this and we completely forget we're on air. So if anybody would like to donate to our FCC violation fund, you can send that to Venmo at Starkey Bob. But so I don't know what we're going to talk about today. 219-845-1100. If you've got a thought, give us a call. We will entertain those. Did you read any of the stuff from Tri Creek Schools overnight?
Yeah, I've seen that. All the proposed cuts and some of that they're
So,
looking at.
so last night at Tri Creek Schools, they had a school board meeting, and this is what they proposed. Not proposed. This is what they voted on and enacted. Tri Creek Schools regretfully approves cuts to all school bus service and K through 8 sports and clubs to offset $3 million deficit due to Senate Enrolled Act 1, additional cuts pending. Effective August 1st of 2028, the district will eliminate all school bus transportation. And effective next August 2027, all school-sponsored sports and extracurricular clubs for grades K through 8 will be eliminated. Additional cuts to high school sports, classroom instructional support staff. And this is what gets me. As much as I will dovetail this into why I supported the Lake Central school referendum, but had other issues with it. And student safety programs remain pending. I don't know. As an elected official, let me take one step back here before we go in here. Chuck Pullen, when I started doing the radio, he said, you got to be careful because, remember, this is being streamed live on the YouTubes everywhere. There's probably some, liberal in Bangladesh that wants to move to Winfield and run against you, and they will use whatever you say in the next, 2 hours or so. So always be mindful of that. I then just come and ramble and say whatever, and it's me. I don't.
Well, and I mean, that's kind of a gift and curse for me, too, is you don't do things for political reasons. Just be a normal human being.
Yeah.
You can have opinions that not everybody's going to like. It's just.
So the first thing when I saw this, I remembered when Lake Central came with their referendum. At the time, the superintendent, Larry Varacco, I sent him a note at one point, and I said, listen, especially in the Tri Creek area, you are in, for the most part, a Republican voting place.
Yep.
And so what you can't do is you can't go out there and say, hey, Republicans are awful, and they did all these cuts, and they're all bad. We can put a pin on that and talk about that in a second. You can't do all that and then at the same time say, well, we need your vote for this referendum, which, by the way, guys, not only are we going to cut all of these things, notice it's not high school sports because, a lot of kids need that to then move on. That's where some money does come in. Yep. But the little kids, we don't, we're fine cutting that. So it's a scare tactic. But if you want a way around that, visit the school town hall meetings on Tuesday, Wednesday, about the November 2026 school referendum. This is one of the more heavy-handed scare tactics that I've seen. There were a few folks who, when Lake Central's came out, there's the initial push, and then they've got all of the They're online minions that will then, find some little thing to, they're cutting the SRO programs. You're not cutting the SRO programs. We're dire. We send you our SRO. You're fine. You're fine. So when you get these, and it's so far out that, what a thing to say, hey, K through 8, we're eliminating everything. So it's like, okay, well then why move to that area?
Right.
And then the year after, we're going to eliminate all bus transportation. You know how large of an area Tri Creek is?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. There's just the size alone down there. That part of the county is so rural. It's such a huge district. Yeah,
and so to come out and say that, and then cap it with, oh, by the way, we do have this referendum meeting. I always said one of my issues with any of these school referendums, and I supported the Lake Central one, is they come at you and they say, hey, we are going to, one of the things on the table is student safety programs that we're going to cut. And then that scares everybody into voting for it. And I would bet right now, we don't have to have any other meetings. I bet any money that this alone It will work. Scare tactic. Folks will go and they'll vote for this referendum. And this time next year, I'm going to invite Zach back, and we are going to congratulate the Tri-Creek underwater basket weaving team for their national championships.
Yeah.
Because that's how it goes. It's, hey, if we don't get this money, your kids are going to be in the hallways in groups of 50 learning from, a 100-year-old math book with an abacus.
Right. Which may not be that bad of an idea, but at this point.
There's no AI classes now.
Right, yeah. Well, and that's part of I agree with you. I think you have this, whether it's a scare tactic, it's clearly, put out in front of the referendum to try to get the visceral response out of people. Oh, we can't sacrifice safety. We can't sacrifice. We're seeing a trend now where kids are getting into sports even younger. They're pushing these programs. They're opening up new programs for younger kids. 5th, 6th grades now, and so it's more important than maybe people want, but it is important to people. So if you're kind of threatening sports and you're threatening safety and saying, hey, we don't know what we can do with this, then of course you're going to get that emotional response when it comes time to vote.
Well, there is, and as a parent, so Liam's going into 5th grade. Which, by the way, folks, Liam is going to be in on Monday to take Lynette's job of weather at 7:30 and 8. I don't know if she's salty on that yet. Did I ask permission or did I just say that? No, I didn't ask permission. Okay, I apologize. He asked me yesterday, so we went to the Lake County Fair to see Lee Bryce, and on the way there, he was like, "Daddy, you said I could go on the podcast before I go back to school." He just thinks this is I don't know what he thinks this is. And I said, yeah. He's like, I go back on Tuesday. So, okay. So for all of you listening, 7:30, 8 o'clock on Monday, Liam will be back to do his, I think that snippet, I've had Liam on, I think, 2 or 3 times. And the most views I've ever gotten on this show is when I bring Liam on. So we'll do that. And then in a few weeks, I would imagine, I don't know if they do they do spelling? How old are your kids? You've got are any in middle school yet?
Yeah, I've got.
Do they do spelling words?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. So we would do this thing where on Fridays we would hype Liam up to get on the school bus.
Oh yeah.
And I'd bring in his spelling words. And for 4th grade, some of them I still had to sound out. But you get into this rhythm of, I would imagine, in school, and you're just spelling stuff all the time. For me, I just honestly on my phone I kind of swipe the direction that I think the word is, and it just auto populates.
Just a rough idea. It's fine.
Yeah. So. You all have that to look forward to. Evidently, Lynette, you're going to be on deck for, since we don't have Joe Cimino anymore, you're going to be on deck for spelling words. No, you're going for that microphone button. I see it.
I used to be the top speller back in 5th grade in my class.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, well, so middle school starts later now, so before it was like 7 o'clock, we'd have to, hype him up and do that. But I don't think he gets on the bus now till 8 o'clock. So perhaps we could even have him call in and see who can spell the words Liam or Lynette.
Well, it's been a long time since I've been in 5th grade, so I'm a little rusty.
Like a day and a half, though, right?
Mm.
No. These young kids. Oh, look at this. Go ahead. Okay, so Paul Goddard says, former Trooper Beaver. Oh, Paul Goddard. Hey, you didn't come say hi to me yesterday, by the way, at the concert. Anyways, go ahead, Bob, and enter the realm of flock debate. Wow, you've got fans on here. Wow, South County represent, Zach Beaver in the house. Are you paying these people?
How about that? I don't know.
Are you paying these people to hype us up on the YouTubes here?
Yeah, in this economy, I don't think you can afford it, but...
Yeah. So anyways, it is 6:17. We're going to take a quick break. That way we can start taking your calls at 219-845-1100. Sometimes right now I just like to stare at Lynette while she looks at the board, trying to find a time when I'm going to pause to go to commercial break to pay things, and at some point she cuts me off.
Need clean energy without the junk? I'm Jim Deedlow. I used to live on burgers, football, basketball, baseball. Now I'm gluten-free and more into biking, golf, and yoga. But I still need energy. That's why I love Paradise, developed by Emily D. Edwards right here in Cherville. My favorite is Paradise Packs Strawberry with gluten-free pretzels. Find it soon at Strachan Van Til or at spreadparadise.com.
Free summer music is still rocking at Fox Point. Our Wednesday night concert series brings Trippin' Billies, the 1985, Elton Jeff and the Honky Cats, Mike and Joe, and Dick Diamond and the Dusters. Friday Night Lights brings you Gold Dust Dreams and One of These Nights on August 21st, and Mexico and El Corazon on September 4th. Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is just minutes from I-8094, and parking is free. Visit foxpoint.org for our full schedule. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
The best just got better. Tech Credit Union is proud to celebrate being recognized with Best of the Region, Best CEO, and Best Banker. To celebrate, we're offering 3 special CD offers with rates up to 4.5% APY for a limited time. Visit techcu.org or stop by your nearest Tech Credit Union branch or call 800-276-8324 to learn more. Tech Credit Union, the better option for people and communities we serve. Member NCUA. Minimum deposit required. Offer subject to change. Visit techcu.org for complete details.
IBEW Local 697 electrical contractors bring the highest standard of electrical work to Lake County homes, schools, and businesses. From everyday fixes to once-in-a-lifetime builds, we don't just get the job done, we get it done right and up to the highest safety standards. When you need electrical work, hire the professionals who power Indiana. Powering Indiana, Lake County, bringing excellence to the job, creating a brighter future for our community.
Welcome back. 621 here on WJOB. We're going to go straight to the phones, and my mental powers are telling me that Walt is on the line. Good morning, Walt. How you doing?
Good. The Chicago public school system is not doing very well, and I'm looking at an article out of the Chicago Sun-Times, and it noted that the price for providing special needs services to children, $1.8 billion. Does that make any sense? I mean, do you have those kind of numbers in here in Northwest Indiana? Such a high percentage of so many dollars being spent on special needs kids?
So the one thing that I don't know is just the sheer scale of the Chicago public school system. I do know with the recent Lake Central reform, I don't remember what the numbers were, but those numbers were some of the first to be cut, and that's growing, and at least locally. I know that's for pairs in the classroom, special ed teachers. I just don't know what the budget. Now, you said it was 1.x billion, so we'll just say 1 billion, whatever it was. I look at the elementary school where Liam went to, Protzman and Dyer, and I kind of do just a quick mental scan of who is there and who is working. If the budget for the Chicago Public Schools is, say, maybe $15 billion, then I guess $1 billion makes sense. And I only say that, boy, if I'm doing just a quick snapshot in my head of the faculty there and what they're doing. I don't know. But now if you came back and said, well, it's $2 billion runs Chicago Public Schools, then I'd say, that seems extreme. But I don't know. I think just the scale of Chicago, it's so hard to say. Lake Central is one of the bigger schools around here, thousands and thousands of kids, but they're tapping into maybe 60, 70,000 people in the Tri-Town area. Chicago's got millions, so I just don't know what that scale is.
3 million.
How many?
Chicago has 3 million people.
So
and it's the Chicago area, metro area is like 10 million. It's just like the size of Paris. Very similar to Paris, France.
And smells just as bad. So to be honest, I don't know. It does sound like a huge number. I guess, but before I would dump on that number, I would just, it would be interesting to see. And I'll let you get back to talking about the article. Whatever that number is, there's always room for cuts. But whatever that number is, it would be a shame that in all of the stuff that Chicago Public Schools has going on, if that's where they're saying, oh, well, this is a problem for us.
Right. And to your point, I mean, in Chicago land, especially in the city, a lot of those communities are underserved, and so there's a demand on social resources through the schools that they may not otherwise be able to get just going home. If you're saying Lake Central or kind of Crown Point area, something like that, you may just go home, have an issue, go get it dealt with at the doctor, go wherever. But a lot of that gets put on in the Chicago Public Schools too, because there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Which can affect, kind of the ratio. So it changes the conversation a little bit from Northwest Indiana to Chicagoland.
Yeah.
And also, looking at these numbers, the amount of money being spent on special needs doubled from 2019 to 2026. That's just a 7-year period. That's big. That's big growth, and I'm just wondering whether maybe this is unique to Chicago versus areas like Northwest Indiana.
I'd like to know that too. We've had we've utilized some of those services in Lake Central, and that was one of the reasons why I supported the referendum, because right, wrong, or indifferent, some of those services are first to be cut. And in my estimation, if we're requiring all kids to go to school, while at the same time, and please, voucher crowds, don't yell at me here. but if people with mobility are allowed to go where they need to, go where they want to, go where they feel that they're going to be best served, while we're still requiring public education, as we should, there is a group of folks that need the 504 plans, need the IEPs, need those services that a lot of these private institutions are not going to provide because they don't have the funding. So it was my opinion that the public schools should have a fairly robust program, because again, as we're going out there saying school choice, go where you're best served, again, while at the same time mandating it for everyone, if some of these private schools are not going to offer that, the public schools have to. And but that does, if it did double in that amount of time, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't have the DSM-4 or 6, whatever. I don't have that in front of me. So I don't know if, if someone said, oh, we found this new diagnostic tool and now we're diagnosing kids at a higher rate. but I've not heard of that. So I don't know. Anytime you have something like that double that fast,
Right,
you think,
right.
okay, are people taking advantage of the system?
Right.
Which is wrong, but
Well, and that's the tough thing is you want to support education. You want these programs. You want to see that stuff flourish. But then at some point, if you see an increase that much, is it effective lobbying? Is it reckless spending? Is it needed expense, or is there fraud? Is there something else going on that we need to figure out? Why did it double that much?
yeah.
And you've seen that trend in a handful of other situations where it goes from this kind of base level for a decade, and then all of a sudden, right around COVID, it shoots up, and it's what's causing that. I think in some cases it's fraud, some cases just spending.
The folks on the internet. So I'm watching you. I'm watching you, chat room folks. I put the mic in front of Zach's face so you can hear him now.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
Yeah,
They're
I can hear it better too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so can they. And so can they. Well, that'll be interesting. Maybe Monday, maybe over the weekend, I will do some hunting and pecking to see if to see what those numbers look like. I know it went up in Lake Central, but it did. I don't believe it doubled. I think I would have been shocked by that number. Again, just see any
Right.
program double. If over 6-7 years there was a doubling of kids who needed math assistance. Let's not even talk about the others. Just you think, wow, what happened in this amount of time that they need that. So
Well, and there's also some of that too. If you're looking at supplemental teaching and kind of catch-up teaching, there's been an increase in some of that spending because of the COVID deficit in learning. Some of these kids were kept out of schools, didn't get the education they needed just because of the COVID stuff, and then they come back and now they have to catch up to where their peers are, what the school standards or the state standards are. So there's a lot. I mean, I think there's a lot of factors that go into that.
good food for the weekend,
Yes,
Walt.
Looking at these numbers between 2019 and 2026, I think the impact of COVID may be at the heart of this, because this is right in the middle of the COVID problem. And well, in any case, moving on to a little happier subject, I dropped by Big Frank's Sausage in East Chicago. They're at 98 Carroll Street, not just maybe a half a block west of Indianapolis Boulevard, not far from the East Chicago South Shore train station. But people were talking about Big Frank's Spam hot dog, and I decided to drop by and give it a try, and not bad. I do like hot dogs. I love hot dogs.
Zach, just so you know, occasionally when Brent's on here, we have some topics come up a lot. On here we're talking, international news, national news, state news, some really heavy topics, and then occasionally a hot dog segment comes up.
I mean, it's Chicagoland.
And which, by the way, Docks, 1420 Calumet Avenue, they're closed for a remodel. I don't know. There's a bunch of rumors going around. Closed for a remodel. They're getting a new, I think they're getting a new smoker or something or other, repainting all that stuff. I think they're going to get the Lynn's Meats hot dogs coming up. Very excited about that. But Walt, as soon as you said Spam hot dog, in my mind I thought, aren't all hot dogs some form of Spam? I mean,
right.
But okay, so go to Big Frank's and get a Spam hot dog.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have tried that, but maybe I have to. I haven't had Spam
Give it a
in
try.
years.
I've never had Spam.
I'm looking at the schedule here, and Big Frank's is open from Monday through Sunday. Wow, I just assumed they were closed on Sunday, but looking at the schedule here, nope, it's Monday to Sunday. So you can mainly, it opens basically around noon, about 11 o'clock. So
well,
Sunday
you heard it here,
open.
folks. After you're done worshiping baby Jesus on Sunday morning, head on over to Frank's for a Spam hot dog. Now, if we don't cut that up and make that an ad, that is that's a detriment to Big Frank's. Okay, so it was good. Anything else you got, Walt, here before we head to the next caller?
Yeah. I checked out Freddy's Steakhouse for lunch, and got a. I ordered what they had special for the day, and for the quality of what they provided, it was. I mean, the burger was just a two-fister. I only ate half, took the other half home, and had it for supper, and it. One thing I hadn't been to eat at Freddy's Steakhouse for a long time, and they were involved with that show.
Where they one of them chef shows where they come in and tear the place apart for show. I didn't watch it. Did you go because of that? Did you watch that and think, I'm going to go back? Yeah. Well, there you go. So it was worth it for him. He got a customer out of it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you last time I've been there.
But apparently, in the price, there was a benefit to being insulted and so forth. And in any case, apparently the show poured a lot of money into the place. They really spruced the place up. I mean, if you haven't been there for a while, I highly recommend that. It's Freddy's Steakhouse on Kennedy Avenue in Hammond. And in any case, they were open for lunch, and one of the recommendations made by the TV show was to not offer lunch. Well, they decided to ignore that. And but in any case, I took their menu, and
did you
look
steal
at
one
their
of their
early
menus?
bird specials. I'm sorry.
When you said I took their menu, I just saw you like I had a mental image of you running out of the shop with a menu.
Well, the early bird specials from Tuesday to Friday, 3 to 5 p.m., and it's a measly $14.95, and they offer 5 items: 2 boneless pork chops, chopped steak with grilled onions, chicken Alfredo with garlic bread, fried white fish, and a half a slab of ribs. And you have a choice of potato, French fries or baked potato. You have a choice of salad or soup, and of course they have warm bread. And I would say this is last time I ate there, the food was always good. I mean, there's nothing has changed about that. The food's excellent. It has a nice Middle Western feel, atmosphere to it. The service is excellent. So the food's always been good. It's good now, and but it's spruced up. Check it out, and I think you'll be impressed by what you see.
We will make sure to do that, Walt. Thanks for calling. I want you to make sure you have a great weekend, and we'll catch you on Monday. We're gonna take a quick break here. We've got some callers. We'll get right back to you, but we're gonna come back with traffic and weather.
It's the simplest expression, the smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy. A smile lights it up, apologizes, and welcomes unconditionally. Because the shortest distance between two people is a smile.
Thank you.
Strachan Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
Come to Fox Point Saturday, August 8th for an unforgettable night of classic soul and funk. Solid Ground Band opens for Shining Star, a stunning tribute to the magical music of Earth, Wind, and Fire. This special August 8th concert is free. Bring your appetite and enjoy our bar and delicious local food. Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is just minutes from I-8094 and parking is free. Visit foxpoint.org for details. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
From the gas in your car to the heat in your home and the roads that you drive on, our work powers daily life. We are USW Local 71, the proud men and women of the Whiting Refinery. We're not just refinery workers. We're your friends and neighbors, raising our families here, shopping in the same stores, and cheering in the same stands. USW Local 71, powering the region because we are the region.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention.
Phones. I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, business manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Welcome back. Just welcome back. WJB 1230 AM 104.7 FM. Beautiful Hammond, Indiana. I said earlier the 30% chance of the Bears. Was it Kalshi? Is that the betting site?
Yep.
For the longest time, it was like 70% plus. Now, it may have changed since I heard this a couple days ago. But in the last few weeks, it's dropped into the mid-30s.
Really?
That the Bears have come here. So is that?
I wonder what's driving that sentiment that people just. I think a lot of it's excitement. So there's speculation. Everybody gets excited. Now it's like, because everything with government takes too long. So
it takes forever.
Nobody pays attention.
Traffic growth, everything looks fine. I don't know what to tell you. Yes, going into the city, 90, 55 in. Nobody really cares about the Stevenson. Nobody knows what the Stevenson is. You have a GPS. Put it in your phone. It'll tell you where to go. But more importantly, 30 and 41 look fantastic. So for those of you driving local, everything's fine. How's the weather?
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 70 degrees with highs of 84 and lows of 68. We'll be having some sun with a thunderstorm. Humid. Fog will lift this morning. Later tonight should be partly cloudy and humid with a thunderstorm in spots towards dawn. Then tomorrow and Saturday we'll be having highs of 82 and lows of 63. Should be partly to mostly sunny and humid. And then Sunday we'll be having highs of 81 and lows of 70 with times of clouds and sun with a heavy thunderstorm and humid.
So I can only scroll through the comments on Facebook so much. Otherwise, it will be just dead air, me reading things. So I have to skim it. I'm going to give another shout out to Paul here when he said the Eduardo's, which Eduardo's is closed now, but somebody's taken over the comeback. Deep dish spinach pizza. I think we did. It was Giordano's at 30 and 41. The Giordano's in general has a really good spinach deep dish pizza. Lynette is shaking her head no.
Not a fan of deep dish.
No. And then there was some Walmart conversation where y'all like to shop. I suppose there's that. The folks are wondering, Zach Beaver, why are there so many roundabouts in Winfield? And there's a correction, we don't have any roundabouts in Dyer.
That's a good question. Kind of loaded, but because it gets everybody excited. But really, I think it boils down to cost and engineering. We do traffic studies to analyze traffic patterns in advance. Anytime a development comes in, they're required to submit some traffic studies, traffic data, and we update that constantly. And so when we get that, plug that all in, a lot of times the output from the engineering side is you should do a roundabout. It'll save on traffic and you can get it in and out and whatever it is. And then a lot of times on the other side of that, it's cheaper to build roundabouts sometimes than it is to build just a lighted intersection.
Yeah. I would imagine out where you guys are, we have had a couple spots in Dyer that if you were playing Sim City, it'd be like, that'd be a cool spot to put a roundabout.
Right.
The problem is the amount of space you need for a roundabout in a place that's already established. I then have to buy up all four corners of an intersection to make that happen.
Yeah.
And so when you're in an established place, it's pretty hard to do that. Well, it's not hard if you're willing to just spend copious amounts of money to do that.
Yeah.
We have thought about putting that in a few places. I dislike roundabouts, but I dislike roundabouts because to me, it still has a European feel to it.
Yeah.
And I just don't care for Europe.
For many years, I was anti-roundabout because it just reminded me of France, and I thought, no way. And then you start getting involved in it. It's like, okay, well, if the engineering and the financing all line up, and this is the best, most efficient route, then. But we only have one, for the record. There's a couple on the Crown Point side, but we are getting a couple more, I think, in the next few years. You're going to see.
You're going to see more. He says that with such authority. You might get a couple.
Well, we have one for sure that is, we've got funding for. It's lined up, so that'll go in, and then I think, like I said, the engineering and the studies all suggest those are going to be the most efficient ways to deliver traffic. So,
well, and if you, like you said, if you've got fresh land to do that, it's
you're not buying somebody's house to bulldoze it for a roundabout. There's you're making a developer or somebody at farmland kind of put it in.
Yeah. Okay, let's get roundabouts to them calls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Hey.
Professor Walt, riveting conversation.
Well, now you know where to get a Spam hot dog.
Yeah, great. Hey, in reference to one of his points, special needs children, a lot of it is blamed on COVID. A lot of it is blamed on giving an infant all these vaccines at one time. And a lot of it is blamed on their nutrition. If you check Northwest Indiana and any therapy for these kids with special needs, they are booked solid, and sometimes you have to get put on a waiting list. Councilman Beaver.
Oh, okay. Councilman Beaver. This one second, caller. Hang on 1 second. I always love when I sound jokingly now, but I do love it. The amount of times I come on the air and we're talking about Spam hot dogs, and someone comes in and says, "Councilman, I got a question." I'm all for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bring it. I'm all for it. But one point that I did want to make on that, with all of those spirit therapies, speech, physical therapy, OT, ABA therapy, there is a waiting list for those here in Northwest Indiana. And so it's, it is an issue. And one thing I would say for families or for folks that haven't had to deal with that, be mindful when you talk.
Yeah, right.
As someone who's been on those waiting lists, yes, I get it. Anyways, I'll return it back to you. Councilman Beaver is on the microphone for you, good sir.
And former Trooper Beaver, your police department in Winfield appears to be a clown show. Who is running that circus? You've got $30,000 missing in money. There's a dispute over a former canine you had. Your boys went viral in an arrest. But what is going on out there, and who's responsible?
Well, I appreciate the question. I think I agree with you that there's been some issues in terms of administration of the police department, and that's one of the things. It's kind of, it was in the news, I guess, and a handful of maybe the Times, that we made administrative changes last year, and the year before, kind of going into last year. And so since April of last year, we've had a new chief and a new deputy chief. And so that was kind of an important decision we made on the council side, just seeing some of the things, especially coming from my experience with the state police. We were seeing things happening that we didn't think were right. We saw need for improvement in certain things, need for some different oversight, some of those kind of things. And so that was what drove a lot of our initiative to try to, once we started seeing, hey, there's things going on here that we need to change. And some of this was without knowledge of some of the things you just mentioned. And so, some of those events even we find out after the fact. And so there was just a lot of that stuff driving the council to make administrative change, which we did in April of last year. Since then, there's been a kind of a complete changeover as far as how things are being run, standard operating procedures, supervision, training, leadership. Some of those things have been kind of taken on in a more professional way, which I hope, reflects our officers, because I don't think that's any kind of reflection on them, but it was clear that there was an administrative change that needed to happen for the officers' sake and for the community. And so we started taking those steps, and now we're trying to work that through and get new officers in place, increase hiring, increase retention. We focus heavily on pay because that was kind of a big issue too, is, if you can't pay your officers enough to stay, you're always going to have this turning situation. So we focus heavily on putting money in to get the officers' pay up. And then, like I said, making those administrative changes. So, I agree with you. There's been issues, and I haven't shied away from that, and that's been a big driver of us trying to make some of the changes in Winfield, is just get some of that stuff under control.
One of the before you respond to that, we had a place in Winfield, I don't know, 13 years ago, and at that time, there was no police department in Winfield, and so just as a fellow political hack, I've always wondered how you go from that from nothing to a Marshall program to having a department so new. I look at how we do things in Dyer, and you're always going to have turnover, but we also there's just so much legacy knowledge that gets passed down from one generation of cops to the next, and that has to be now this is just me asking you, that has to be interesting to watch that just start from scratch.
Yeah.
Because every misstep, and I didn't know, you had mentioned, caller, a handful of things. I can't speak on any of those topics. I don't know anything about them. But what's tough with that is I think every department will occasionally have something goes awry, because, when you have half a dozen people working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, somebody's going to, make a misstep somewhere. It's just you. But with a new agency, there's got to be just a spotlight on that. And it's like, oh, okay, we can't do that. Where older departments, they've already fleshed some of that out.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you completely. And I think, especially the way Winfield's grown over the years. In '93, when the town was founded, it was 700 people, and now we're close to 9,000. We didn't have a police department until 2014, and prior to that, we were contracting with the sheriff's department. And so, all of a sudden you have this massive growth. The 109th ramp opens up, dumps a bunch of traffic and development into Winfield. So the town grows rapidly, starts a Marshall program with one officer. And so a lot of that is kind of the learning curve of, okay, realizing the community is going to continue to grow. We need to prioritize public safety. What do we need? What steps do we need to do? And that's part of, we're looking to convert the agency over from a town marshal system into a metro system so that it's a perf agency and that kind of thing. And so we're just trying to navigate some of that. So it's not going to be without some kind of road bumps here and there, but the goal is at least to try to shepherd it in the right direction, get us kind of on the right track. And that's I think that's part of the administrative change. Chief Byrd is, 40-year law enforcement officer. He's got a lot of administrative experience, has stood up other departments. And so it's kind of the goal of bringing him in is, look, we need this institutional knowledge to get this kind of the metro system on the right foot and going on, serving the public that way.
I wonder how annoying that is to have a former trooper on the council.
It probably depends on who you ask.
Yeah. Just a random thought. Sorry.
But Zach.
Yes, sir.
As a former trooper, who did the background on your guys? It seems like every time you turn around, one of your guys is involved in something. And you glossed over those issues, but where's the dog? Where's the $30,000? And where's the training?
Well, which question are you... What do you want me to address? And I can do them in order.
Where's the $30,000?
That is under investigation with the state police, so we don't have an answer on where exactly it is. If it was an accounting error, if it's been misappropriated, we're not sure what the state police investigation has determined yet.
Where's your former canine?
The canine was retired, put out of service, so he's been retired and
probably running a field somewhere.
Yeah. I mean that's it. So.
I know. I'll just.
Was he?
Go ahead. Sorry.
There's a scandal over all of that, Zach, and I'm not sure who's hiding what.
I don't think there's a scandal. I mean, everything is done publicly. I mean, I know there were some newspaper articles about the subject, but nothing ever materialized with any kind of wrongdoing or complaints or anything like that. I know some people were upset about retiring the dog, but other than that, I mean, I think everything was done, in public meetings, and he was retired. He couldn't be caught up on training. We kind of looked into that as far as retraining him and stuff. We couldn't make that route work just because of the age and the amount of time that he was out of service, doing the catch-up training and then switching to a new handler, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure if there's really a scandal. I know there were some people upset about it, but I mean, I guess that's just part of it.
We've always had canines in, at least since I've been around in Dyer, and I know a lot of other agencies have them. I think they're a great tool. But every once in a while, something comes up where there's then questions. How did this dog react? And then it goes into training. So I've looked at some of this training. The amount of training that because we were in a similar. I was going to say similar situation, but I don't know what the Winfield situation was, so I don't want to go out and say a similar situation. But we had a situation where we were looking at training one of our older dogs to, just to make sure that all the paperwork was in order, make sure everything. And it got to the point where it's just not feasible. At some point, you need to just, put $20,000-$30,000 into a new dog
right.
that's young. We just got one, our second one, Sparrow, 2 years old, and to do all that training, and that was the time to do it. We did. I don't know the Winfield dog thing, but we had a spot where it was like, okay, well let's make sure every I is dotted and T is crossed, and it just wasn't feasible.
Yeah, they're tough. I think they're tough programs to run with small agencies. It's because there is a demand on training and
there is, and it's weekly. I mean, these officers, when they have dogs, there is X amount of time that they are off doing dog duty stuff. One of the issues we have is as these handlers, increase in rank, it's then harder to have your corporals and your sergeants, and as your department will grow, it's harder to start having these of rank folks, again, depending on how big your department is,
yep.
than have dogs because they're away so often doing stuff. And,
yep.
We've got, at any given time, between 29 and 31 officers because they come and go. That industry is just, it's very transient.
Yep.
You get a handful of folks that stick with the community, but other than that, I think at any given time, at Dyer, Munster, Cherville, we're all in some emergency hire process.
Right.
When I first got on it, I don't want to say I took offense, but it was always like, man, what are we doing? How do we keep these people here? And now the only concern I have is because, and you can call, that's fine. I think Dyer is one of the finest agencies we have in Lake County. And I think that my worry as a council person is that I don't want our department to be a feeder system for other departments.
Right.
But I also, if you're going to go, you're going to go.
Right.
I mean, I don't know that, whether it's a personality conflict. Well, I don't like this boss. And like the nursing profession, you can quite literally go anywhere and you be a nurse wherever.
Right.
It's just until you find what you like. But yeah, that officer turnover, at first I thought it was, well, how does this look on the department? How does this look on the town? And now having done this for 5 or 6 years, it's like that's everywhere. Every time our chief comes back from one of these chief conferences, I think they just had one in South Bend, everybody's dealing with it. And I guess I don't know where I was going with that one, except for the fact that it is 6:50.
Hey, Bob?
Yeah.
I'm going to cut you off so you can get to a caller, but one last thing.
Yeah.
We don't miss Brent.
Aw, I do. You know where Brent works? At Doc's on 1420 Calumet Avenue. I bet you missed that. So, but hey, thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate the questions.
Lynette's giving me the sign that it's the top of the hour, so we got to go. But callers, you got a few of you on there. Stand by, and we'll get to you in a second.
I'm Pastor Eric Boone, pastor of the Tree of Life Church here in the great city of Gary, Indiana. The Notre Dame Credit Union. Go beyond and above to make sure that we are in position to make that greater impact. Listen, this credit union is one of a kind, and I'm looking forward to the future because I know that we will continue to do greater things together, and I'm forever grateful for a credit union like this.
Visit NotreDameFCU.com.
Hey Region, I'm T, and I grew up in East Chicago, went to college in Gary, worked out of Munster, and raised my family in Crown Point. I'm Region to the core. I created Region Hot Sauce, the flavor of the region. Added to chicken, fish, pizza, eggs, and more for the perfect blend of heat and flavor. Visit RegionHotSauce.com for a complete list of locations or to order direct. Region Hot Sauce, the flavor of the region.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention.
Phones. I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, business manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Have you ever considered becoming an iron worker? Local 395 is now accepting applications for their apprenticeship program. Go to ironworkers395.com. Look under the training section, click on apprenticeship, and scroll down to the application. You must be 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, and you must be physically able to perform the work of the trade. Find out more by calling the apprenticeship school in Lake Station at 219-962-7675 or visit ironworkers395.com.
Did you say go ahead? Yeah. You just said go ahead, like that's how we start the radio now, is just go ahead. It is top of the hour, 7:02, WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM in beautiful Hammond, Indiana, streaming live on the YouTubes everywhere from Hammond to Bangladesh. I get a quarter if I use the word Bangladesh 3 times in the show, and that does it.
That's 3.
That's 3. Traffic and weather. Let's take a quick look. No reports of anything. If you got something, 219-845-1100. We'll get to those calls in a second. Everything in Northwest Indiana looks fine. Everywhere in Illinois, it's gumming up going into the city. Same places that it always does on a Friday morning. 55, 90 going in, 294. Other than that, the merger looks fine. 30 and 41 look fine. And it looks like the little bit of 231 looks good too. So that's all I got. How's the weather?
Give me just a second.
Is it still foggy outside? We don't have windows here at the WJOB bunker. But we do have air conditioning now, which is, Zach, you missed that. For like a month and a half, we had no air. And there was one time it was so bad, I did this show from my own studio at home. I said, no, it was not fat guy friendly.
You just got to tank top it, get ready for the weather.
Yeah. It's no pants Friday here at WJOB. How's the weather?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Today we're at 70 degrees with highs of 84 and lows of 68 with some sun and a thunderstorm. Humid, fog will lift this morning. Tomorrow on Saturday we'll be having highs of 82 and lows of 63. Should be partly to mostly sunny and humid. And then Sunday we'll be having highs of 81 and lows of 70 with times of clouds and sun with a heavy thunderstorm and should be humid.
Looking back at the chat here, we've got a couple callers, so I will get you in 1 second. But going back to the chat, during the break, there's always some good content that we have, and occasionally if Brent is here or Chuck's here, whoever we're talking with, sometimes we have to stop ourselves and say, let's not waste good content on dead air. One of the reasons why Zach and I get along so well is because it is just kind of out there. I've been doing this for like a year and a half. You guys call in with questions about Dyer, good, bad, and different. I'll answer it best I can. When it comes to requests, sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes I have to say I'm not Santa Claus. It's not that things happen. Here in the chats, it said Dyer had the biggest turnover the problem for a while. Those guys weren't happy over there. The next one is, hats off to Dyer and Cherville for holding it down as best they can. It is tough being a border community. That I can dovetail that into the camera thing later on, but I don't know if the callers want to talk into that because we already spoke about that. But it is tough, and I mentioned that before the break. Is that sometimes there's personality conflicts, and when I first got on the council in 2020, elected in 2019, got on the council in 2020. We had a few folks leave, and it was like, oh man, what is that? Some rebuke on the department or the council or the town.
Because it's your community, you take it personally. And
I do.
What are we doing? What's wrong?
And at some point, I had to overlay that with, where have I worked in the past, and what's that been like? And sometimes you don't like your work environment, and it's not the work environment, it's that you just don't like it.
Right.
And so that's fine. I certainly, you spend a lot of money. That's why I mentioned earlier, we don't want to be a feeder program for other departments, meaning, we go through the process of hiring you, sending you through the academy, getting you through FTO. A year or two goes by, you're finally out of probation, and then you go somewhere else.
Right.
And for the most part, there are some outlier communities. I always, St. John's one of them that has just an astronomical pay. And that's, good on you if that's where you want to do your budget from. We just don't, I don't know.
It's tough.
So
yeah. Well, and
it's tough. But just to say, there are little times when we did a fairly decent, what I would call a catch-up rate, because for years before I got on the council, Republican, Democrat didn't matter. For years, police pay was falling behind in Dyer.
Yep.
And so we did a catch-up. And I'll be completely honest with you. At the time, I looked at it and I said, make it $100 more than Cherville. just because we were trying to catch up, and I think out of the maybe 15, 16 policing communities in Northwest Indiana, we were at like 3 or 4. Well, budget-wise, we couldn't just be number one overnight. Right. Some of these places, especially now that I have been, now I know they're dipping into their TIF revenues to pay for police. That is going to bite you.
Yep.
And so some of you guys out there that are doing that, thoughts and prayers when that chicken comes home.
Oh yeah. Because you're gonna get used to that level of service, and you're gonna have to fund it at some point with no money coming in anymore, or you're gonna have to cut.
But yeah, so I would take it like, oh man, but not unlike the citizenry, you try your best for everyone. You try to cast a wide net. And yeah, some folks leave.
Yeah.
And like any job, you go into any office job somewhere that you have cubicle city and you've got 30 people working in cubicles. You're going to have little cliques of people. And sometimes this one doesn't like this one. And when all of your skills are so hyper transferable to a mile in either direction of where you are, that's hard. And, and to Paul's point on there with the turnover, none of these guys were leaving to make massive bucks somewhere else. I mean, okay, maybe St. John's base pay was better, but when you look at all the other benefits, I think I could be wrong. You can light me up here, wherever. I think they had to pay their perf where Dyer covers the perf. Just things like that. So I don't think anybody was leaving for, hey, this is going to be a life-changing amount of money to move somewhere else. They moved because they want a different environment. And you're not, I mean, you try to weed out toxic folks, but, man, what are you going to do?
And that's the tough thing. I mean, that's kind of one of the, it's not like I mentioned, we started working on pay a couple years ago to do catch-up, because we found ourselves as a marshal system. You don't have to have all Tier 1 officers. You can have Tier 2, which means they're not going to the full academy. And then you're planning to put them to the academy. They're going into another agency because Winfield's not paying anything. And so that was one of the first things we did. I mean, we went from, I don't know the exact numbers, but, 35,000 roughly in 22 to, starting at like 60. And so to your point, and I tell people this, that we want people to look at Winfield. If you're in Lake County as a cop, we want you to say, do I want to work in Winfield or St. John? We kind of want that, and maybe that's not realistic, but that's the goal. Is like, hey, push that, drive this culture, and that's where you get into some of the administrative changes. You have to have the right culture to attract the right people, but you also have to make the right financial moves. So, are we going to be able to pay $100,000 overnight? No.
Yeah.
Would that be the ideal goal? Yeah, of course. I mean, that's great. If we can get there, I want to figure out how to do it, but we have to kind of manage that. And so if you look at it and say, well, 3 years ago, these officers are making $35,000, which is nothing to be in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Get out there and risk your life and do that. And so, okay, well, we'll start fixing these things that we can so that we can build the agency, and it just takes time to get that all those pieces in place. But that's it. And you want to break that cycle of like just the turnover and try to create the culture, create the incentives, whether it's financial or time off or whatever it is.
And and one thing I had to just lean back on, we'll get to the calls in a second, is everything will be okay. In the end, it all works out, and for the people that come to Dyer Winfield, welcome. We think it's great, and for the ones who move on, God bless. I hope that works out for you and your family, and everything's good. That's all I got to say about that. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
Good morning. How you doing?
Oh, fantastic. How are you doing?
All right. Well, Walt started it out with...
I was going to say, are you going to talk about Spam hot dogs?
No, Walt did. But what I want to explain about spam hot dogs is like politics. Okay? If you registered to vote and you don't vote, or you vote, or you want to talk on politics but you don't register to vote, then don't make any comments about what Walt brought up, because I'm not going to talk about that because everybody got tired of me mentioning it. He brought it up, not me. So if you didn't try it, don't make a comment until you try it. It's like registering to vote. If you don't vote, don't talk about it. But now, roundabouts. Okay, well, first,
hold on. Those are both. I just want to
say
those are both fair points, and I agree with you because I tell Bob this. I'm the biggest complainer about politics, but I also go do something. You know, I try to get involved and figure out a way to do something because I have a lot to say about it. But I agree with you, and so I'll reserve judgment on the spam hot dog until I try it.
Right. Yeah, okay. So now let's finish talking about food. But if you've got sinuses, years ago, when one of my kids lived at home, I like Mexican food, spicy food. I can't eat too much anymore. But we were sitting at a restaurant one day at a Mexican, and they got this thing called a chili relleno. And the lady told me, yeah, it's spicy. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll try it. It's like a pepper with mozzarella cheese and red sauce in it. Man, that thing looked good, man. I'm chowing down on it. My youngest son says, Dad, how come your face is getting red and you're sweating? And, man, that thing just tore me up, But now I want to talk about roundabouts because, you can make your comments after I say this, but, okay, Chicago, Illinois. What in the downtown Chicago or Chicago, what would it be like driving through Chicago with roundabouts in Chicago? Could you see the traffic jams and the accidents of roundabouts in Chicago?
Well, I think, can you imagine the amount of land they would need to keep not only the one-way streets, the bike lanes, and then a roundabout? Right. They need to tear down half the place, But
the only thing about roundabouts is, okay, now, I used to always get off at 109th and go east, or get off at Crown Point to go to my sister's house in Hebron. And I won't go into Valparaiso because they have a million roundabouts. I haven't been into Valpo in I know how long because I can't stand all them roundabouts.
A bunch of liberals out there.
But then
it's
now,
a college town. What do you expect?
When you I used to get off 109th to go east to cut down through a friend's house down south. And as soon as you get off, you got all these roundabouts. And then when you get off by that new hospital by Crown Point exit, you got all these roundabouts. So I know back roads to take, so I go that way. But the thing about it is I like about the Illinois criminals that come over here and commit crimes and do high-speed chases to get back into Illinois. They stay close to 94 because there's no roundabouts. They don't know how to, if they're running from the police officer in Indiana to get back in Illinois so they won't have to post a bond if they get arrested, they stay close to 94 because of simple reason. They don't have to worry about crashing in a roundabout.
There's been a Chrysler 300 doing laps around the roundabout at Klein Avenue in Cherville for the last day and a half trying to figure out how to get out. I will accept your letters, owners of Chrysler 300s.
Like National Lampoon's Vacation when they were in that little car or something.
Yeah.
Keep going around the circle, around the circle, around the circle, and he can't get off the round, going around the circle. It's a roundabout. But, I'm just thinking, Dyer, you're right on the border. So
we are geographically challenged.
You ought to think about, you ought to think about putting a roundabout just right next to the border. You ain't got to worry about those Illinois criminals.
Right on 30, just swinging right back in.
Shoe corner.
Yeah.
Every intersection.
Yeah.
But you know what? You guys, that's interesting. Winfield and Dyer got a bunch of cities in between, so if you want to go on roundabouts, go between Winfield and Dyer, and then you could see where it thins out and there's no more roundabouts, but everybody have a good day. I got I got to film something Saturday. So I quit my job over at Academy. I got everything done outside, all this stuff. Today, I don't care if it rains, and I don't care if it rains Sunday. But Saturday, I got to go film. So,
are you filming or drone filming?
Well, I'll be doing ground, air, and video. I've got to do some. And the place I'm going, they ain't got roundabouts.
Zach, if you've ever got a town event that you want some good footage on, this guy here on the phone, he's good. He's been out to Dyer a couple times. Yeah.
Great.
Hey, have a good weekend, bud. Next caller, you are on the air. How's it going?
Hey, good morning. Hey, just a reminder, the average commuter's drive time in the morning is 25 minutes to their job. Your radio show is on drive time. You have got to minimize these calls to 3 minutes, man. To let some of these guys drone on, for 12 minutes, we got to pump the brakes on that.
But
is it open mic Friday?
Yes, it is.
Go ahead. I'll let you respond if you want to respond to
that. We always whenever
I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Hey,
just real quick, I want to switch topics real quick.
The only thing that would be funny right now is if I dropped the call because we hit the 3-minute mark. but go ahead, go ahead.
That's what I'm.
He's gonna drag out the clock just to shut you off.
What can we do for you?
You got to throttle these guys. Hey, nonetheless, Bob. Obviously, you're a Dyer City councilman. What other position do you hold? Do you hold another position within the Republican Party?
I'm secretary of the Dyer Republican Party. That's it. Aside from,
Yeah, okay. I thought you held another position within the Republican Party. I got to ask a question. Undoubtedly, the most corrupt office for the last 5 decades in Lake County has been the office with the highest budget, and that's the sheriff's office. You got an outgoing criminal that replaced a criminal that subsequently replaced a criminal before him in the sheriff's office. David Crane seems like a decent guy. Who's the guy in Highland that keeps running for Senate and keeps losing on the Republican Party? Mark Leva. David Crane is the Mark Leva of the Republican Party as it relates to running for sheriff's office. Seems like a decent guy. Why can't the Republicans find a more viable candidate to run for sheriff than David Crane? With all due respect.
I let me talk on.
I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna listen to your response.
Sounds good. Hey, thanks for calling.
Thank
in. You. One of the I'm going to broaden this to not just the sheriff's race, but any of these countywide races here. The last time a Republican held a countywide office was Hank Adams, and I think he won that by 600 votes, maybe 800 votes. When you look at the county as a whole, a very, very slim margin. His opponent had some, I think at the time, had some even questions as whether or not they lived here. There were some legal questions. So Hank Adams also had a business in Gary for, I think, 30 or 40 years. So he had some connections to that. Whenever you have a Republican looking to run countywide, and we have some, David Crane's one of them, Chuck Messler's running for recorder. We have I think we actually have every spot a contender each one. The hard thing is if you look at it pragmatically, it is a very, very difficult position to win countywide as a Republican. And when you look at the resources that need to go into it, it's tough. So you have a lot of folks take a look at that and they say, look, if I'm going to try to make an impact, I'm going to do it in a place that I know I can win. So we'll just take me, for example. I think I'm doing well in Dyer. I've been hashtag blessed that on a cold day in November twice folks have come out to vote for me, 50% plus one, and from there. But I would never look at a county spot because I think that would be very tough to do. You really need to have connections throughout the entire county. So I really think there's a pragmatism that some folks have that they say, nah, I'm not going to do that. Now, we do have folks, again, some that I just mentioned that said, you know what, I think there's an opening for this, and they're going to pour their heart and soul into it, and we'll see how that goes in November. To the comment about, hey, you guys have some folks that run every single time. They find a spot and they keep running. Well, you can look at it one way as they're attempting to keep the other side honest. They are moving the ball down the field with each and every run. And so, I don't know why people, decide to do and run things they do. I've said a million times, I have zero desire to run for anything else after this. And sorry, Jed came in here and he's all like gesticulating wildly. But yeah, so that's the answer on that. I don't know if I don't know why people do what they do, and I wish all of them the best. We're going to take a break. We've got 5, 6, 7 callers. We'll be back in a second.
Tech Credit Union supports the essential role of union labor in building strong communities. That's why we offer hassle-free banking, financial empowerment, and a commitment to your success. Save for the future, handle life's challenges, and trust a partner that stands by hardworking union members. Tech Credit Union, the better option for you and your money. Visit techcu.org or call 800-276-8324. Tech Credit Union, supporting union families every step of the way.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention.
Phones. I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Labor's District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Enjoy the taste of summer at the Farmers Market at Fox Point. Every Tuesday from 9 to 1, shop locally grown fresh produce, delicious baked goods, artisanal treats, and local culinary creations. Just minutes from I-8094, the Farmers Market at Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is a perfect spot to hear acoustic musicians, stretch with morning yoga, and enjoy community fun throughout the season. To see all vendors and entertainment, visit foxpoint.org. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
Plumbers Local 210 is building the future, and we're looking for service plumbers to join our team. Our training center invests nearly $500,000 every year to make sure our members are the best in the industry. From a 5-year apprenticeship and an associate degree at Ivy Tech to ongoing certifications in safety and new technology, our plumbers are trained for excellence. Every member is drug tested and licensed for your safety and peace of mind. When you need plumbing work done, make sure you ask for the license. It's your right to ask.
I just keep thinking she's waving.
Yeah, she's waving. Evidently, it's too cold now in the studio. Thanks, Lynette, for that one. They're gonna cut us off now. Hey, we're gonna go straight to calls because there's a bunch of you on the line. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Bob.
Morning. What's a good word?
I see your computer there. I think I'm going to peel off a couple of them stickers and put a dirt bike sticker on there.
This is my personality. Without my stickers, how would you know anything about me?
Well,
and I have not bought Liam a dirt bike yet.
Yeah, I got a dirt bike sticker for your computer, and then when Liam comes down there, I might ride my dirt bike through there, like old times.
Right into the studio. He will be here on Monday.
Just like I did before.
Yeah, he'll be here on Monday.
Just like I did before.
For weather at 7:30 and 8. Now, okay, yes.
Now, I know it was hard for the Times to write this article. It's 10 hours old. Steel production rose last year in the United States as imports fell. Guess who you could thank for that?
Who?
Donald Trump.
Oh, look at that.
You know what? In 2012, they were all worried about Trans-Pacific Partnership, and Donald Trump got rid of Trans-Pacific Partnership. Now, let's go to October 21st, 2021. Biden announces agreement with European Union to lift steel and aluminum tariffs. Biden and our illustrious Congressman Mervyn said we got, they lifted it for climate change. You can look it up. They said we have too much work, let's give it to the European Union. And that's when U.S. Steel went up for sale because of Biden and Mervyn says, we've got too much work. Let's give it to the European Union. Now, Trump has got a hold of it again, and we have the steel industry is coming back. And I'm surprised that the Times even wrote about this. This is a great thing for steel workers and what Trump has done for the steel industry. But I hear a guy call in all the time that I put a crane up for. Risk my life. Big list, big iron, and put a crane up. You know, you could be a one-trick pony, but you should call in because it's his retirement and benefits too. And you should say, thank you, Donald Trump, that steel production rose in this country and tariffs have fell. Now, what tariffs mean, because a lot of people don't understand that, tariffs is the dumping of steel. It's just not a tariff. It's people down at the port watching how much you dump. That's what a tariff's all about. It's not just putting a tariff on something. It's about China making steel and stamping it France and having it come through the border. Now, Trump has got it going in the right direction again. And also, Biden, it was 37% corporate tax, okay? And Trump lowered it to 22, and then Biden started raising the corporate tax, and people are going to leave this country. So I would like the people that hate Trump, that's all, they got Trump derangement syndrome. And as you see my Mimi, we could keep the Gavitt School for a Trump derangement syndrome nut house. And it would be full, my buddy said. But, you know, it's okay to knock the guy all the time, but you become a one-trick pony. But this man, Donald Trump, has saved the steel industry. And that's all I got to say.
That's all I got to say about that. Hey, have a good one. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Couldn't be better.
Just something I was thinking about other than all these theories. When you were talking about the police force in your towns and the turnover, I've worked in finance my entire life. It's a very rough industry. And you can get school tuition paid, but you have to sign up for a contract. So you have to work for a certain amount of time. Now, I'm not certain, but is that something you can implement?
We do something like that in Winfield.
Yeah.
That's a good question, and I appreciate the call. I think, there are times where you can do, the town will reimburse for training or your time in the academy, subject to you working 3 years, 5 years, some kind of, it has to be a reasonable
some type of
arrangement.
handcuff agreement.
Right. Especially if you're going to invest $50,000 in training an officer and getting them, on the road, then you want to be able to have some security in that.
And we've bounced that idea back and forth, especially because we have had times where, it feels like we bring in a few folks, we train them, and they leave, and it's, you're trying to figure out ways to, Zach, like you had mentioned earlier, pay and retention is something you're trying to figure out. And this is going to sound so corporate when I say this. I don't mean that way, but we've tried to look at, okay, what tools do we have in the toolbox to do that? And maybe even saying it like handcuff agreement puts a negative spin on it. Maybe there's some you can find some fancy way of saying, there's a partnership there, but
it's the golden hand. You're getting paid, so it's the golden handcuffs.
Yeah. And so in Dyer, we've talked about it. I don't know. How about that for an answer from a councilman?
Right.
I don't know. It's certainly always on the table.
We did patient line past Mike calling about his hot dogs and things. Just because, I went to school, I got an associate's degree and had straight A's on my company as a young single mother, which WJOB also doesn't like young single moms. But I was, and I did it, and I'm proud of that.
I don't know anything about the WJOB thing. I'm just the dumb guy behind the mic. But that's my answer on that. We've thought about it. I don't know. I suppose that every time we think there's a need to go down that path, because government moves so slow, that by the time we've hashed through some of it, my concern that I bring up every time is, okay, let's say you do a 3-year and somebody really wants out. But they don't want to, they either don't want to stay or they don't want or have the ability to pay back. And it's like, okay, well, what kind of work are you going to get from that person? And I don't even have an example. That's just, I think about me. If I was locked into my job because they sent me to Oklahoma City to do all this training that they'd done over the years, but I had to stay another couple years or pay back, whatever stepped amount it is, where it's like, okay, or pay back 10, it would take, it's like, okay, I'll stay, but I tell you, you're getting, you're getting the minimum.
Right.
And so,
and that is part,
I didn't realize that you have to pay it back. I thought that, hey, we're sponsoring you, we'll do this.
Well, that was, I meant that as that was one of the styles of that agreement out there is, okay, let's say I'm just going to make up a town, we'll say Munster. This is, for any of you listening, this is not how Munster does it, but I just didn't want to say Dyer or Winfield because we're here. But say, okay, we brought you on and you're going to go through the academy and you're going to, go through all this stuff. And let's say it's going to cost us $50,000. We're going to say you have to stay with us for 5 years, and each year that you stay might be the equivalent of $10,000. So let's say you stay for 3 years and you say, hey, I want out and I've got 2 years left. Well, then maybe that handcuff agreement is, well, we invested $50,000 in you, and so now you owe us 20.
Right.
Or whatever it may be. I have no clue what those numbers are, but I think you get the idea behind that. And it sounds really good in that knee-jerk reaction of, hey, how do we make sure folks stay? But I just wonder if you make folks stay.
Right.
You hope there's buy-in to the community, to the program, what you're doing. We had National Night Out a couple days ago, and there was a comment made that some parent, and if you're listening, and if you're the cop of that father, I don't know what to tell you. It's a reality. This is what happened. Said, well, they don't want to stay in Dyer because they want to do more than write speeding tickets and go to school events. That's fair.
Yeah.
Right. I love working in a community where that's what the police do, is write speeding tickets and go to school events. But there are some folks who get into that industry because they want to go. I do take offense when they say, well, I want to be the police. It's like, I don't know. You want to go and have an adrenaline run. And that's fine and fair. So then you go somewhere.
Off because I'm going to get off the line so you can get your next caller.
Okay.
National Night Out is a great thing. Our favorite officer in Munster, James Grice, lives in Winfield. He has for ages.
Oh, great. Awesome. Yeah, we have a lot of police and fire in Winfield.
Yeah, and so, again, I just brought this up. I didn't know if it was something to be considered, but you're telling me things that make it seem like not so much. Anyway, again, I don't want to call in and say, no, I want a hot dog. I really like JOB for being our regional outlet of news. And thank you both. Have a good day.
Hey, you too.
Thank you very much.
You too. One more caller before we take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, Bob. How's it going? It's Robert from Robertsdale.
Hey, how's it going? What's a good word?
Sounds like it's going good. I mean, I just heard about TDS, police, and everything that's going on. It's always a fun show to listen to you guys. But speaking of a police officer, I want to make sure that, our Lake County Republicans kind of just step in and help out a fellow police officer for those that are police officers. We do have a candidate running for the Lake County Council 1 that, pretty much it just means that, Republicans, we can flip this seat. He's running against a Democratic socialist that works in Lansing. It's very public, Democratic socialist. And we're reading and seeing what's going on, with this group of people and what policies they want to push. If that comes to Lake County, these the TDS individuals that vote blue no matter who just because of their Trump derangement syndrome, they need to wake up, right? Put that aside. Bring out the Democrat, a moderate individual to vote for Jim Leeds coming up in November. He's a great guy, former cop, retired Hammond PD, small business owner. I've met him personally. He's just a good guy to flip over. And if we, in this county, especially the Republican Party of Lake County, doesn't put their egos aside and help this guy win in November, it's going to be disappointing, right? There's been a lot of division in Lake County with the Republican Party. We need to put all that aside, from all angles. Even if you don't live in Lake County District 1, you need to come over here and help this guy win any means possible. What are your thoughts on that?
I know Jim. I've had Jim on a guest on here before, and what I remember about him is before I brought him on as a guest to the Region Republican show, one of the other shows that I host on here. We were doing some prep work. He hadn't done much, if any, radio, and it was just hey, what to expect, how does this work, and just some of that prep of the questions that he had that he wanted to talk about on air, wondering if that was the appropriate venue. He really is a sharp guy. I forget now because I sit here, I don't know, 6 hours a week, so I forget now what he had run for in the past. But he really was a good guy, and so a couple points.
He ran for state senate against Andrade.
It was right. A couple points to that. The divisions in the Republican Party, especially here in Lake County, are not unique. The Democrats have that also. Where the Democrats do better at is the Republicans will run folks in a primary, and if their guy loses, frankly, they get all sorts of butthurt over it, and they don't come back out. The Democrats, they boo-hoo for 30 minutes, have a beer, and they lock arms. And every single Democrat, I mean, look at the sheriff's race that we just had here. I mean, there was North County, South County, other North County. I mean, they were just all duking it out, and some of the stuff they said in the vitriol, it was awful. I bet they're all voting Democrat now. Where on the Republican side, we think there's this moral high ground of, well, I'm not going to vote for this guy that I was against in the primary because I'm just morally superior now, and it's like, oh, okay, fine. But if you want to affect change, you have to have a seat at the table. And what's the line? Oatmeal's better than no meal.
Right.
I'd much rather have the guy in office that I agree with 80% of the time than, have an issue with the guy that I agreed with 100% of the time, lose, and now I've got, and that is, I always go back to the Richard Murdoch, Joe Donnelly Senate race on that one, because...
Yeah, Bob, I would agree with you. I definitely would agree with you that they're divided like that, but we're talking about Jim here, who actually was, caucused in, right? There was no primary, so they can't be butthurt if someone else didn't win because Jim was caucused in. The Republican Party wanted him on the ballot to run against this Democrat socialist, right? So, yeah, I hear you with other primaries. What I'm calling for is to reach out to the party here in Lake County, the Republican Party, you as a conservative, as a Republican, to just put those issues aside, right, and say we need to get this guy in. We have a shot in getting a Republican into this position, right? And you're 100% right. In Lake County, Republicans behave that way a lot of times. There's toddler moments within the Republican Party, right? And that needs to change, especially for this election, right? So you would agree that at least we need to come together for at least one candidate. If there's a shot at flipping
certainly, and someone like Jim running is good. Where you had mentioned the spectrum that we have out now, from Trump derangement syndrome to this new DSA, the Democrat Socialists. Where I think some impactful change you may start seeing in Lake County is Lake County is blue. There's a lot of Democrats in Lake County. But there is this Democratic Socialist faction of the Democrat Party that's moving in, and it's pushing out some of the more conservative and moderate Democrats who may have been Democrats because that has traditionally been a blue-collar area where Republicans have been coming in saying, well, we're blue collar too. I think a lot of times unions, you will see the, sometimes the upper echelon is supporting of Democrats, but the rank and file are Republicans because it's, that's where, those are the folks who are paying the taxes and, living under the two different parties. So if anything, you get candidates like Jim in there who are good, proven guys, running against some of these socialists. And I think in Lake County, that's where you start to even if it's not growing the Republican Party as in, hey, more people are coming to our events, but you're just getting more people voting for, hey, I can't vote for the socialist guy because that's just bad. That's just bad. And no caller ever anywhere will be able to call in and say, well, this is where it's good. It's never going to happen. They're communists. And so I think that's where you might get some of those folks. Primaries are different. You got to pull R or D. But the general, that's a very private and sacred thing as soon as you get in there. And most people vote with their wallets. And again, you get some of these.
But
yeah.
you have Democrats, on the show here that they have a show that unfortunately, they're not moderate. They will push for this candidate because of their TDS, and it's happening already. And what I'm saying is, I have friends that are Democrat, right? They're the moderate Democrats that you just described, which what they're saying is, I'm just not going to vote I'm just not going to vote for that person. Well, that doesn't help either, right?
Yeah.
That means that other person is going to have, a new wave of voters who are Democrat socialists, which is how their strategy has been working. My concern is that strategy could potentially work here in Lake County, all because of egos, all because of moderate Democrats not showing up to the polls because they don't like socialism, but their TDS won't allow them to vote for a Republican. If that happens, which I hope it doesn't, we're literally going to have a socialist in Lake County, and that's what's going to happen. And I'm calling for all these Democrats that are out there with the TDS, take a pill on election day, take a deep breath, focus on local politics, ignore Trump for one day, and consider voting for Jim Lee. And I'll hang up and listen.
Hey, thanks for your call. Appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break, and because Lynette told me to, and we'll be right back.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention. Phones.
I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, business manager for the Indiana Labor's District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Life's biggest challenges don't come with a warning. When legal issues arise, whether it's a car accident, personal injury, criminal charge, or representing you before municipal boards, you need a trusted advocate on your side. At Westland & Bennett, we listen first because your story matters. We provide strategic, personalized legal solutions to protect your rights, your freedom, and your future. Peace of mind starts with a conversation. Call 219-440-7550 today for a free consultation.
Do you like to work with your hands, creating something from nothing? Then think about Laborers Local 41. You'll get 432 hours of apprenticeship training, all while earning a wage with benefits and incurring no student debt. You'll travel to different job sites, learn tons of skills, and in a lot of cases, be the first one on and last one off a job site. It all starts at laborers41.com.
Fishing for a seafood meal without the stress or mess of cooking? Leave the work to the Strachan Van Til Seafood Department. For just $1 extra per pound, we'll fry, grill, or steam your fish with your choice of 3 kinds of breading. Try our fish and seafood dinners. Each includes a ½ pound each of seafood and fries, and a ¼ pound of coleslaw. Want the freshest catch in town? Reel in the fish and seafood selections from your local Strachan Van Til.
Welcome back, everyone. 6:51 in the region. We'll do the radio call at the top of the hour. We can do traffic and weather, though. Get that out of the way for the last time, just because, again, nothing has changed. That's all I've got to say about that. I will say it does appear that westbound 30 by Calumet Avenue is slowing down. I think they're doing some concrete work out there today. So, of all the things in Lake County to be interested in, 30 and Dyer, westbound, a little slow. Aside from that, everything as you would expect on 9455 going into the city, slow. But other than that, look good. How's the weather?
Good morning, everyone. Today,
is it cold in here, Lynette? Is it too cold for you in here now?
Today we're at 71 degrees with highs of 84 and lows of 68 with some sun and a thunderstorm. Humid. Fog will lift this morning. And tomorrow and Saturday we'll be having highs of 82 and lows of 63, partly to mostly sunny and humid. And then Sunday we'll be having highs of 81 and lows of 70 with times of clouds and sun with a heavy thunderstorm and humid.
We've got a caller. We may have a few, but let's go right to you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, boys.
Hey,
Dave
morning.
Good morning. Dave from Crown Point asked the question, why can't we put up a viable candidate as a Republican for Lake County Sheriff? And Dave from Crown Point knows the answer. He's a smart guy. It's because it doesn't pay to be a Republican in Lake County. Half those cops on Lake County, 90% of those cops on Lake County got their jobs because they said they were a Democrat. Randy Niemeyer tried to address the nepotism and the riffraff out at county, and he got shot down, didn't he, Bob?
You're talking about his display at the fair?
No, I'm talking about Randy Niemeyer said, hey, at the county, why do we need four attorneys signing off on one thing?
Yeah.
And they shot that down right away. It's because Lake County loves the nepotism because they've got a relative that got a job because they called another person, so on and so forth. It doesn't pay to be a Republican in Lake County. If the current sheriff was able to run again, he'd get elected again, despite all the shenanigans on his part and the dirty pool. You know this.
Well, and I think that goes...
Tell me I'm wrong.
No. What I was going to say is I think that's where you get... where that argument comes of, hey, why don't we have more Republicans running for these spots? And if that was my industry, I wouldn't run for sheriff in Lake County. I wouldn't. Why? Now you should say, oh well, the only person who's ever going to make a change is a good person. It's really hard to win, countywide as a Republican. So. There was, I think the Lake County Republican Party is working on some exposés, if you want to call it, and that's fine. One of the questions that I often had with some of the Democrats, and maybe a good show one day will be myself bringing in Jim Weezer on here to say who comes on these airways often, but to say. Look, you guys had and have a lock on the countywide offices here in Lake County. We see we always tend to fixate on the sheriff's race, but I mean, how many other of these countywide spots have had legal issues? Sometimes the question that I have is not so much, hey, why don't we find a better, deeper bench of Republicans to run? It's why haven't Democrats found a better, deeper bench to run for some of these offices? You get, and okay, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but who's the office now that hasn't been in the office for 2 years? You got someone like the old Mike Brown, who they had to create a law because he was so absent.
Right.
And they voted for her again. And you're reading my mind. Bob, let me go into my best Jim Weezer, okay? Geez, Dan Darnell's a great guy. He's a great guy. Frank Mervan's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. Donald Trump, why are we in this war? He started this war. We don't need it. The Republicans are off the chain. Tune into my show next week. I'm going to have Frank Mervan on. Frank's a great guy.
That was freakishly good, and I would hope that Jim would be impressed by that. But that's my question that I would really like to start pushing. We had who was it, the surveyor?
Yeah.
All of these folks that we see in there when we say, Lake County is all corrupt, it's all bad. But the Republicans don't have anybody to challenge all that. Fair point, 100% fair point. But on the same token, it's like, Democrats, how come you guys haven't done better? You have control of the entire county apparatus for the most part, aside from maybe a 2 or 3 spots south of 231. Oh, okay, fine, you've got that. Why can't you guys find better candidates to not be in the news for bad reasons all the time? And so that
because they don't care, Bob.
That could be
because you need your cousin to get a job, so you place a call to a guy named Randy, who places a call to one of the fat chucks. They can't call Buncich anymore, so they call Patalis. And the next thing you know, you're raising your right hand, putting your left hand on a Bible, and you're a cop. They love the nepotism, and guys like Randy Niemeyer that have stones and stand up against this stuff don't get anywhere. Jeez, Dan Brunel's a great guy.
That's my gosh, that should be a ringtone. One thing I will say that may not make me popular either on this phone call or in the chats or anything, it is because, when we talk about the quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes for those of you not watching, the corruption, the Democrats, there is probably 88 of the 92 counties in the state of Indiana are just deep red. The Democrats, I think, even drive around the counties. Some of those counties have the exact same problem with their Republicans that we have with our Democrats. And the issue with that is it is so one-sided. There hardly is ever a challenge. Yeah. So you get these folks that maybe shouldn't have run in the first place because they're not running to, for the community, for the citizens. They're running because whatever reason you could think of that's negative, and they get in there. We don't hear a lot about that often because the only news we get here is how awful Chicago is and when a Democrat in Lake County does something bad. That's really all the news we hear. And I think it has more to do with, certainly there is, I don't think anybody could argue that there is corruption in the Democrat machine here in Lake County. There just is. But I also don't think that it's entirely unique to politics. I think when you get all one-sided,
Yeah, and that's a good perspective, too. Well, I think you're right. When you look at statewide, as soon as you said that, I could think of a couple counties where they deal with the same, and they're like 95% Republican, but they're dealing with the same issue. And maybe that's to the caller's point is, as citizens, are we doing a good job electing the right Democrats or the right Republicans? Regardless, then they get in these positions of authority. Now, well, yeah, sure, I'm going to build this machine of nepotism behind me, and then it entrenches everything going forward, and then the voters aren't engaged enough to say, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And so I think there's kind of an indictment on just entrenched power generally, and we need to be engaged to break that stuff up.
And that idea of term limits at the county level is somewhat hilarious in that it then just becomes a revolving door of, okay, I'm done in this spot. Let me run for that spot over there.
Exactly.
And Bob, the Dan Darnell thing is a perfect example because the Republicans refuse to get down in the trenches and get dirty. The realignment, restructure, whatever you want to call it, with Dan Darnell, the Democrats were doing it all over the country. And instead of Dan Darnell saying, hey, we are going to fight this, and we're not bringing a knife to a gunfight, we're bringing a bazooka, he chose not to do that and fight for what is right long term. So screw Dan Darnell. He covered his own butt, and I hope he's happy with his decision.
Hey, thanks for calling in. It is 8 o'clock here in the region. You're listening to WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM in beautiful Hammond, Indiana, streaming live on the YouTubes everywhere. Next Monday...
The YouTubes.
The YouTubes, the Facebooks, the face page. I say that as almost as just the most beautiful tribute and homage to my mother that I can think of. She was not a Luddite by any means. She liked going on Facebook. She loved doing all of that, and as she passed, I think of ways to keep her around, and some of that stuff is just her terminology for technical things. Now it's just ingrained in my head.
Right. Well, it's
And
endearing either way.
Yeah, and so for her it was always the YouTubes and face page. And that's what you're going to get from me for Mama Love as I go. No, I'm not a Dominican baseball player. That's just for my good dear mother, whom I love and adore. Well, Lynette, have we run out of calls? Oh, we have. 219-845-1100. We're going to be on for about 15 more minutes. We both have to work. Oh, look at that. Someone called it. We both have to work, and I have a conference call at 8:30 because that's when I start work on Mondays and Fridays. The folks are blowing up the chat about something in East Chicago with the police officer. I know nothing about it.
I don't know either.
I haven't heard. If it's behind the paywall of the Times, I just don't. I don't know.
I get you got to pay bills, but the public safety, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, make those free.
Throw us some freebies.
Yeah, throw me some freebies.
At least let me know what's going on in the community for free.
Yeah, but I suppose I get my stuff from Paul Goddard.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yay, unexpected plug, but it's a great source of information.
No, he just Venmo'd me $3. I have to say his name 3 more times. Region News Source. Anyways,
it's well worth the plug.
It is. It is. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bob. What's going on? It's Kuz.
Hey, someone in the chat earlier was like, "Hey, where's Kuziak? Bring him in, bring him on." And I ignored that comment. No, I'm kidding.
I was working, so I didn't really hear. I just heard the last call, and I just want to comment on going so far right or so far left. How's that worked out for the country over the last 10 years?
Oh yeah. It's well, and I would say on the right side of things, it wasn't even a pendulum, because the pendulum in my mind goes from extreme right to extreme left, and Trump. I'll always say I was there for Trump 1. Trump 2 is just so concerning. Zach, I don't want to speak for you, but oftentimes Zach and I have conversations where it's like, no, we're to the right of whatever MAGA has become, where that pendulum just swung to some weird populist place. But you're right. Now we're dealing with, I don't even know where my brand of conservatism lives anymore. Which I have to imagine some of the Democrats feel the same way, because that pendulum is, we're going to elect all these DSA folks. Right. So I have to imagine there's a fairly decent swath of Democrats who are like, where do I belong now?
Right.
There's more people, Bob. There's more people now that are in the center, and we could agree to disagree, and I disagree with the last caller. I think Dan Durnell was a fine elected official. And last night, what ended up happening, earlier this week, one of the reasons why some of the Republicans didn't want to redistrict, ask Andy Ogles how that redistrict worked for him in Tennessee. So, I think what we should do is go to nonpartisan. People should draw the lines. And what happened over the last 50 years is we have protected the senior people on both sides and gerrymandered all 50 states, so that you get either far right or far left. And it feels good when you're in charge. So if you're far right now, it feels good. But I guarantee you this, there's a good chance you're going to lose the majority. And when you lose the majority, there's a chance that you're going to lose the White House, because there's only 2 parties, and it's happened over the history of are you going to be good with that when they shove it down your throat?
Well, and that's where it's going to be cyclical. The Republicans will lose the midterms. Yeah. They'll then lose the White House. But then in those midterms, the Republicans will roar back in, and because we've lived under this Democrat way for a couple years now, and that's how it goes. It just swings back and forth.
So let's look at the sum of what's happened, Bob. So over this last 25 years, because you can almost go back to 2000, and we were almost even when it comes to debt and deficit.
No. 25 years ago was the 80s.
25 years ago. Was right after Clinton and Gingrich. We basically we had a balanced budget. I think we were 3 or 4 trillion in deficit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, in debt. We're 40. We're dumber, fatter, and broker, and we dislike each other more.
Right.
So again, the question is this: is this working for both the Democrats and Republicans? Is this what you want? Because if it is, you're going to get a pendulum. I would surmise that it's not working very well, and I'm in the majority. Because the majority of people are in the center now, and we're looking for a way to get away from the two far extremes of both the Democrat and Republican Party, and they're not allowing us to do that. But I think there will be a day of reckoning, and I'm just asking people that feel like last call. Of all people, Dan Durnell is a rhino? Are you kidding me? Are you really kidding me? Have you ever met him?
Many a time.
You're telling me he's not far enough right for this county. He took a district which I ran for in the Lake County Council. He won that district. He got the Republican Party, which was kind of basically the butt of a joke in Northwest Indiana, to the point where they're winning seats countywide, and he gets thrown out of the party. You think that that's going to be good long-term for the Republican Party? I don't think it is. I don't think it is, Bob, and that's my opinion, and that's my 2 cents for the morning for those that were asking. I think it's good. I think it's bad for the party. I think going too far right and too far left makes people feel good, and we cannot every 4 years when we go to a new president or every 8 years disavow everything the other party did and then go punish them, which is what's happened. We need to start solving problems in this country.
Yep. I agree with that.
With daycare? Where are we at with health care? We're talking about whether Fauci's going to jail or we're holding him in contempt or we're putting this guy or that guy and all this other stuff. Whether this person's running for Congress or not, who cares? Where are we at with Social Security? Where are we at with daycare? Where are we at with affordable health care? Where are we at with education? Where are we at with things that are going to affect our daily lives? We're dealing with the personality and the cable BS instead of dealing with the problems that we all deal with. And I see this every day when I sit in at their kitchen tables, and I'm telling you right now, the Republicans are going to get their clock cleaned. The only way that may not happen is because the Democrats are so wacky that they're going to put these left. If they just would have put normal people in, they would have won the House.
There's 2 comments on that before you hang up, because I want to get your thoughts on this. Well, one, really, I do like that notion. If you would have just put some normal people in there, you probably would have done just fine.
Well, kind of like you were saying in the last call, too.
Yeah. So here's a question. You said people are moving to the center. I'm interested to know, are they center in terms of politics, or are they moving to the center? Like my new center, especially probably since COVID. I know last Friday we talked about COVID and everybody got all irritated. Oh, just get over it. It's COVID. But no, since then, my center is the leave me alone center.
Right.
I want to vote for.
My wife's at Bob. My wife's at the point. I don't want to say it. Her famous saying to me is, "Leave me the F alone."
Well, I mean, there's some of that where I will go to the polls,
and so people are what they're doing then is. That's terrible for us. So what we're doing is we're all going to our camps, or those that don't want to play the game are shutting themselves off, which it's a defeating purpose, because then you leave the radicals on both sides. We just had a race where 15% of the electorate came out and voted. So 1 out of every 2 people are elected to vote. So theoretically speaking, 7.5% of the people walking around in Lake County and the state of Indiana determined who the nominees of the parties are going to be. That is disgusting.
Right.
You cannot. No one can tell me that we're winning. There is no metrics that's going on that says we're moving in the right direction when it comes to our education, when it comes to the health of this country, and when it comes to the financial health. We are dumber, fatter, and broker, and the trend continues.
Every time you say that line, I think you're talking right at me. Dumber, fatter, broker.
Our society.
Yeah.
Our society.
Well, and there's something to be said about that. Having a I kind of look at it, Bob kind of mentioned that, sometimes you look at it as going far right or far left, and where are you at in the extremes? I think a lot of people are finding themselves in the center, not because it's center politically, but they're in the center because it's different. They're just saying, whatever's going on the left and the right, I don't even care anymore. I'm in my own thing, and I need to find people who agree with that, and we can work on something. Because, to your point, I think everybody's frustrated with that. Is we were promised to make America healthy, and that's kind of stalling. There's kind of all this stuff where you can go through, and there's a lot of people left or right who subscribe to those things and think, well, yeah, I don't want to eat. I don't want to consume dyes.
Stalling out is the best word. I think if there's anything that will be damning to the Republicans on the national level, it's that all of these things that we wanted, whether it was, and I'm not talking about any specific policy about make America healthy again, or it's that everything that we want has stalled out.
Right.
And everything we didn't want, meaning let's give billions of dollars to every other country.
Yep.
Let's go to, now our metrics is, hey, we all need to have a presidential day of celebration because the Straits of Hormuz are open. Yeah, they were open a couple months ago.
So, Bob,
right.
You've run for office and you're an elected official. And I'm sorry, I came in late. I'm not. Who's your co-host today?
My name is Zach Beaver.
Zach Beaver. He's a councilman over in Winfield. Former state trooper, attorney. He's got a bunch of stuff.
I don't know what I'm doing.
So what I'm saying is you've run for office. So when you run, you say we're going to do this. It's a campaign pledge. For the Republican Party that's right now at the national level, look at what they promised 2 years ago. The country overwhelmingly gave them the not super majorities, but they voted and they clearly went in favor of Republicans. What have they delivered on what they promised? So when you come now, this is your report card. You have a kid, right? You're going to your teacher and you're getting the report card and what he did, what Liam has accomplished during this time. If you look at what the promises were, and you're going to go back to those same people, they're going to say, you promised you were lowering costs, you promised we were going to stay out of wars, you promised this, you promised that. Now, when you're asking for them to vote for you again, they're going to look and say, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, so I only have two options, and I'm going to have to slide to the other side. And then they will crap down their leg, because that's what they do as well. But that's why people are frustrated that you only have two options and no one's solving their problems. They're fighting against each other and getting nothing accomplished. I'm too old to just fight and not get anything accomplished.
Yep.
I think it's time we start getting things accomplished and start and it's the voters' fault, because the voter needs to put people in there saying, I ask this all the time, I'll leave you with this. Everyone's like, oh, if you're a Democrat, the Republicans evil. You know how many people are married to each other that are from different parties? So are you telling me that because you're a Democrat and the other person's a Republican, that the other person is they're evil? I mean, this is ridiculous what we're doing in this country.
Yeah, and that's
you would never teach your kids that.
No, and that's why I was going to say that's not the real.
Children to speak that way to the way we talk to each other in the political world.
Yeah.
In fact, you would take your kid and go reprimand them for the way that we're treating each other.
Yep, you're right. It's not. A lot of people operate in a place that's not the real world, and they kind of. I think we lose. You don't touch grass enough. You don't talk to your neighbors enough, and then that becomes reality as well. This party is evil, and that party is good, and it's just this. It's just two-choice system as opposed to, well, yeah, my neighbor is a Democrat, and that's fine, and my other neighbor's a Republican, and that's fine too, because they're my neighbors, and we all care about the same thing and have the same values.
Well, I appreciate the time, guys, and
hey, not
I hope
a problem.
we solved a little bit of the problems of the world.
We did. Friday for everyone will be better now because of the last 10 minutes on the radio. So, hey, thanks for calling in. Appreciate it. So, I did just get. There was a bunch of talk in the chat about a police officer from East Chicago and a fire, and I'm talking, I'm scrolling, I'm trying to figure out what happened, and so thanks to Paul Goddard again. This hour brought
That's
to you in
two,
part
right?
by.
Or is that three?
Yeah, I don't know. He waded through some of the info for us, and it appears that Tuesday night there was a There was a fire in a townhouse over in Harvey with one of the East Chicago police officers who has devoted mother of 3, lost everything in that. She was in the process. It looked like of moving to East Chicago. She lost everything. So there is a donation drive being set up at the East Chicago PD, which is 2301 East Columbus Drive in East Chicago, Saturday, August 9th from 1 until 6. I will send it over to Lynette. We can put it up on the WJOB socials, Region News Source. Some of the information will be up there later on today. The flyer is again for Officer Jocelyn Mendez, a devoted mother of 3, recently lost her home and everything she owned in a devastating fire, etc. This flyer will have some of the some kids' clothing sizes, some of the stuff for the officer. I couldn't imagine. I don't even want to say this to put this out in the ether, you know, but to snap of a finger. I mean, not only as a state trooper have you been on these, no doubt, but then also as a council member, you see these things happen in your community. It takes nothing for a house to go up, and that's everything.
Yep.
And so if you had to think about, okay, well, what do I have in my car right now? And that's it.
Right.
And there's all sorts of great organizations. I mean, hopefully everything was insured, but that's not going to do anything for you 24 hours later.
Right.
You know, there's other organizations, Red Cross, all these folks, and I don't know, again, this particular officer situation. You'll get stuff, but again, nothing is immediate.
Right.
And so...
and just putting your life back together. I mean, it's
it
total
is. It is.
upheaval
And
everything.
it is different if it was just me or if it was just you.
Right.
Yeah, we could figure it out. But this officer has a couple of kids aged 5 to 13. I couldn't
imagine.
Yeah.
And before school.
Oh, I know. So, anyways, we will get that up on our socials. If you follow me, I'll put it up on mine, and then follow Region News Source. He'll throw it up there too. If you've got something that you know, some of the much needed support. Again, we spent the last 2 hours talking about divisions and pendulums swinging one way or another and this and that. But at the end of the day, this is why it's okay to not like Washington, to not like Indianapolis, but to come together as a local community. Because like you said, on one side of the house is somebody, on the other side of your house is somebody else. None of that matters when you're all out there just, you know, talking at the mailbox.
Right.
And so here at WJOB, we like to come together for the community. And so let's do that. So pay attention to the socials. We'll get that up coming here shortly. Again, this is a donation drive to support Officer Jocelyn Mendez out of East Chicago Police Department, who lost everything in a fire. And is the flyer here, 3 kids, 5, 9, and 13. And it's you know, Liam's 10. And I think if everything disappeared and he starts on Tuesday, and you know, payday's not till next Friday.
Right.
Dude, I'm...
On top of everything else, too. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, just trying to get your kid to school is now this huge burden that it wasn't 2 weeks ago. You know?
Yeah. And that's where, you know, people work very, very hard. I know we do in our house, work very hard to get into a routine, because then you can, you know, just enjoy life and go about your day.
Right.
And, you know, do whatever. And this, I can't think of, you know, or rather would not want to speak it over the airways, of something that's more disrupting than this. So,
right.
So we'll put that up there, and Region, you know what to do. So help her out. It is 8:21 in the Region. We're going to wrap it up here because we've got to go to work. Zach, thank you so much for. I've tried to get him on a couple times, and we both work, and sometimes it's stuff. Come back anytime.
Absolutely.
This is what I'll say. Lynette went to go turn the thing off, and they said, crap, Bob's still talking again. You know, just the honesty of it. When I came on here, the first time, you asked how long I was doing this. I don't know, a year and a half now. I welcome the calls, and I really wish. Now there are not a million radio stations. There are not a million opportunities for folks to come on the air, and people find other ways to do it. But folks call in, they ask questions, we give answers to the best of my knowledge. There's an honesty about it, and I wish more folks would do that, because over time, I mentioned this, I've developed a thick skin. There's a handful of folks that I'm very proud of the pavilion we built. I think it was an amenity that the residents in mass wanted. We did it the right way. Other communities, St. John, are bonding out for this stuff, going back to the taxpayers. Dyer paid cash, and so there's different ways to do stuff. So even the folks who have criticisms of it, look, I think the last time around, 40% of the people did not vote for me. But that's fine. That's fair. That's how the system works.
Right.
And I don't mind answering those questions. So, when you come on as an elected official, you've got your own opinions, and it's there's no disclaimer calling these are not the official opinions.
Right.
Send thoughts and prayers to CBS.
Yeah.
None of that. It's just two dudes talking about what really happened with Building 7. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you on Monday.
It's the simplest expression. The smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy.